Hey everyone, Ryan here, and welcome to my review of the LEGO Star Wars 75046 Coruscant Police Gunship. It has 481 pieces, and when it was released in 2014, cost just $50. If you want one new in the box like I have here today, you're going to be paying about $500. Now, this set does include 4 minifigs, but the box art is kind of weird about it. On the front, it says Shock Troopers ×2, but the front of the art really only shows the one running around, and I certainly don't see one inside the cockpit. Now, opening the box, you'll find 4 numbered bags, your sticker sheet, and an instruction manual, which has a really cool checklist at the end with a lot of the early 2014 sets. The Anakin here is a pretty upgraded Clone Wars version with leg printing, and 2014 was probably the latest year that they did the big eyes for Clone Wars era figures, but this Anakin may also be the last one that didn't have a double-sided face. It was a pretty standard figure, although the leg printing helped make it look a lot better than it would have. The Ahsoka here is very good and widely regarded as one of the better Ahsoka minifigures. Now, because this figure is so old and it's using the old reddish-brown, as soon as I put this figure together, I started to hear cracks, and I find the arms to be really hard to move on this one, so it is something that if you go out to buy this figure or this set, you can expect LEGO's quality to not hold up through the years. Now, for the quality of the prints and the look of the figure, though, it does look really, really good. They did a great job with the prints all over, and they even included a double-sided face, so you do get a second facial expression with Ahsoka, unlike Anakin. The last 2 figures in the set are the Shock Troopers, and these look phenomenal. They have the red arms, which gives them much more red than we see modern day on Shock Troopers. They, of course, don't have helmet lumps and holes. And overall, these are the most accurate Shock Troopers that we have ever gotten, because this is before they were mixing the armor styles, which is aesthetically pleasing, but so is this, and it's accurate to the show it's based on. So overall, these Shock Troopers are my favorite of the versions LEGO has released, and I do believe the price on the secondary market definitely reflects their quality. I think I forgot how good this LEGO set was as I've been playing around with it since I built it today. There's just so many hidden features inside of what was a $50 set that would really surprise you. Naturally, we'll start at the front of the gunship, where we have the large windscreen piece, or really 2 pieces in that translucent red color. It looks really cool there, and it's a very nice shape that is at an angle because they built it with some Technic pieces on the inside you'll see in a moment, but it just looks so cool and proper at that 15 or 20 degree angle leaning forward there. And they really did a great job minimizing the amount of gaps that you have there for what is a relatively complex design. When it comes to getting inside of this thing, all you have to do is pull forward and then pull up on the windscreen piece, and it raises way above the top of the ship, so it's completely out of the way for you to access the cockpit area. But it has to be this way because there's otherwise relatively little space to stick your fingers in to place clone troopers in their seats, but doing this is actually not how you're really supposed to put the clone troopers in there. These can actually be pulled out, and it hurts about every time because it's not the greatest system, but you can pull out the seating area for your clone troopers, and you can place them on way easier. They even have unique stickers for their controls, and you can see the flat tiling on the inside there where it slides on. So if we want to place it back in, just place it on, push them in, and it's kind of sort of going to clip in. It just softly pushes in, and you know it's in because now it won't fall out. And then there goes the cockpit dropping back down into place, and you can see your clone troopers inside, albeit they are definitely difficult to see in there. On either side of the cockpit, we have our classic ball turrets. You've seen these on plenty of LEGO Star Wars sets, and they work just as every other one of them does. They don't fall off very easily, which is nice. I guess some of the Republic Gunship ones had problems with that, but this one certainly does not have that problem. They are stuck on nicely. And just to the side of that, you'll see these black fins, and they actually move when you lift up the Coruscant Guard gunship, and then when you lift it, they kind of fall back into place and out of the way while it's landed. And speaking of landed, it does have landing gear that is retractable. Now, the landing gear is not important at all to whether or not this thing is stable when landed. It's absolutely an aesthetic thing, and that looks awesome. But if you want to retract the landing gear, you just push this up and push it in. It's out of the way. And this is the Coruscant Guard gunship flying without the landing gear out. It looks really clean. On top of the gunship, we have an accurate Republic logo, and then we have the main play feature, I would say, which is the spring-loaded shooters. They're really nicely integrated into the design, almost impossible to see, and they're not an eyesore when they're empty, so you can shoot them off by pushing down on that. This midsection is where the bulk of those stickers went. We have one up here where there's the number 45074. Not exactly sure what that means, but it does look really cool up there. We have a couple other Republic logos and then some Arbesh writing, I believe, there. And the stickers here really should line up. Like, there are some angles where you can make it look pretty good, but ultimately you're left with some pretty rough looking gaps there on these pieces in the middle. I do wish that that could be solved, or would have been solved, because I do think it looks particularly ugly from some angles, but it still is a nice bit of detail added onto the side. And this is also where the whole like troop carrier part of this comes in. I mean, it's not a Republic gunship where its like sole job is to carry troops, but this one certainly can. You can lift this hatch on the side. You can do the same on the other side of the gunship here, and you actually have a pretty sizable troop bay. Throw Ahsoka on the backside, and then Anakin with his lightsaber won't really fit, so you do have to take the lightsabers off of them to fit. There we are, Anakin and Ahsoka ready to go, and you can close these hatches just fine. You could probably fit a few more minifigs in there. I mean, there's a big cavity of empty space at the front here if you really wanted to. There's also a couple of dark blue hatches on the back. They are nice panels and angling on the back end of the gunship, but they can also be opened. On this one, you have a couple clips which don't really do anything, but if we flip it around to the other side, we'll see a little turret or something that pops out. I suppose you could take it off of the wall here, and it can kind of float around like one of those Darth Maul probe droids, but I'm not 1,000% sure what this is really supposed to be, so I'm just going to put it back. There actually is quite a bit of empty space in this boat hole that they could have used too, but they ended up just sectioning it off, and so you have no access to this space, and it is where the last sticker on this set is. At the tail end of the gunship, we find a rear turret, which doesn't spin or do anything special. It's just the imaginative ability to shoot things out the back. And then finally, we have the top of the tail end, which has these translucent red pieces, which look really cool. Just a nice splash of color on the back end that matches what we see on the front end with the translucent red. And we can't forget on the very bottom, they even included the spotlight. Such a great feature to have on the bottom of this set to help recreate scenes from the Clone Wars, something that you might not have thought was there, but it is there, and you can even turn it just a little bit. It has a small range of motion, so I love that little added feature on the bottom. One more thing I just noticed, this obviously is a police gunship, and on the left side you have a red light, and on the right side there's the blue light, so you have the alternating light system like you would see on an American police car, or probably accurate to the show as well. I know this set was already pretty legendary, but honestly it's better than I remembered. The figures are just so good and accurate to the Clone Wars show, and then the police gunship is killer with so many fun play features that I didn't even remember from when I had this set in 2014, like the way you put the minifigs into the cockpit, like just lovely stuff on this Coruscant gunship. I'd love to see a modern day remake of this that isn't downsized and neutered into oblivion, where it's just got less and less than it had the time before. I'd love to see it come back in a full form for maybe 70 or 80 bucks, so people don't have to spend $500 to get one of these. I believe it did show up in Andor, and of course in the new Ahsoka show it can be seen as well, which is the reason I'm making this review today. So let me know what you think about this one below, but for the time, 2014, probably a 10 out of 10 set. I just don't like it. I'm sure many of you don't like that it costs $500 nowadays. So you can check out more 2014 set reviews on the end screen now.